If you've been listening to the Eat More Carbs podcast, you know that Reilly and I are both in our running era. To make sure that we're properly fueled for training, we're using both carbohydrates and 2 Before.
2 Before is an all-natural pre-workout designed to enhance athletic performance through the benefits of New Zealand blackcurrant berries. Studies have shown these berries to increase vasodilation and prime the body to kickstart muscle recovery. These antioxidant-rich berries have a sweet and tangy flavor and will level up your performance and recovery. Use code Reilly for 20% off 20 packs and multi-serve packs online at 2before.com.
This is the Eat More Carbs podcast. Hello and welcome to the Eat More Carbs podcast, the official podcast of the Performance Fueling Club. I'm Jenna Fisher and I'm here with my co-host Reilly Beatty. Today we are going to be playing Betsi Flint's interview with Reilly. If you don't know, Betsi is part of Team USA Volleyball. During this episode, Betsi shares all about fueling and navigating fueling as a professional athlete and as a mom.
If you're loving the Eat More Carbs podcast, this is your reminder to make sure that you're sharing with your friends and fellow athletes and also rating and reviewing our podcast below. It really helps out our small business.
Reilly, what's your high and low?
My high and my low are a little bit of the same. Anybody who has been following the Eat More Carbs podcast for a long period of time, you also know that we have video available. And for the past, I would say, year and a half, I have looked like a zombie on the podcast recordings because my camera was so bad. And I have recently upgraded my camera. And I just wanted to share that I no longer look like I am at the Target checkout counter. And I look no longer like a zombie. And I think Jenna is thankful because now she does not have to look at me like I am in a cloud all of the time.
It's not that you ever looked bad. It's that the video, that the system that we used paired with your camera just was not a compatible situation. So you look a lot more colorful in your new camera.
Honestly, some of my clients have not recognized me because of my new setup. So we have upgraded.
I'm very happy that you have an upgrade and that everything is more vibrant in your new webcam.
I literally now look orange instead of white, but it's okay.
I don't know. I would take the tan over the Casper color.
What about your high and low?
So my high, when I was marathon training, I wasn't doing a lot of other activity. It just didn't have time for it. I needed to dedicate a lot of time to running. Now that I'm not running as much, I'm getting back into some of the other types of exercise that I really love. One of those things is spin. I've probably talked about it multiple times on the podcast before, but I love going to spin class. There's a spin instructor at my gym who's just so fun, but it's just a fun and different way to move my body that I've just been really loving these past couple of days. My low is related to the weather, truthfully, but my best friend from college is getting married. I am so excited for her. She has spent so long designing her wedding invitations and I could not wait to see them. I knew they were going to be beautiful. She is putting all the thought into all the details. So I couldn't wait to see it. Unfortunately, it's 113 degrees here. So I pulled out the invitation, so excited to look at it. And they had put a wax seal for their new initials together on the inside of the card. And because it's 113 degrees, it melted. So the entire card was covered in waxy shenanigans. And I had to rip it to get it open because of the wax. But anyway, sorry, Taylor. It's still a beautiful invitation. I didn't mean to rip it. I'm sure the rest of the wedding will be beautiful too.
I just can't believe that's how hot it gets. That's just a big sign of how warm it is outside.
Yeah, it's crazy. We hope you enjoy this rerun of Betsi's episode where she talks all about fueling. There's plenty of great information about fueling and properly fueling as an athlete, no matter what level you're at.
In this episode, I have on Team USA and Olympic hopeful Betsi Flint. Betsi is part of the Beach Volleyball Team USA, and she is a freaking rock star on and off the court. Betsi's currently a mom to a 2-year-old named Cora, and she shares in this episode how she balances being a mom and being a professional athlete. She's going to share a little bit about her nutrition journey. I am so excited that Betsi's on today and that she's going to be sharing her knowledge with you. This is going to be such a valuable episode for those young athletes and for actually athletes of all ages. You're going to learn so much today from Betsi, so let's jump in and get started. Hey, Betsi, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited that you're here. I know we've met once in person, but I've been following along with your journey on social, and I feel like I know everything about you. I feel like we're friends. So I'm super excited to chat about a bunch of this stuff today.
Agreed. Me too.
Why don't you go ahead and share with all the athletes listening a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your athletic journey.
Yeah, I play beach volleyball professionally for Team USA and on the AVP pro beach tour. I went to school at LMU. I was recruited for indoor, and beach became an emerging sport my sophomore year. And I played beach growing up, and that was kind of like a dream come true for it to become an NCAA sport. Well, it was an emerging sport at that time. So started that my sophomore year, which was incredible. And obviously been playing professionally since I graduated in 2015. And now I have a 2-year-old daughter, and she's obviously a lot of work, and it changes how I'm training and just who I am on and off the court. And it's been incredible.
I love her like fueling journey. I know we like chatted a little bit about this like on Instagram, but I feel like she's going to be a sports dietitian when she grows up. She's amazing. I see her eating like cauliflower and like doing like pre and post fueling with you.
Oh yeah, I hope she is too. It was kind of my dream. I wanted to be a dietitian going into school. And so I kind of went the health and human science route since we didn't have it at LMU. And now my journey's changed and I don't see that happening, but I'm really interested and I love the topic. And yeah, I love like making smoothies with Cora and just teaching her fun things that, food is fun, and hopefully giving her a big variety so she can have all sorts of things, like foods that are maybe not even good for you and lots of food that are. So that's been fun.
I love that. I think it was like on Halloween, she like tried candy for the first time maybe or something.
She did. She was like, oh, a lollipop? Like, this is what it is? And now she loves lollipops. So I'm like, maybe we shouldn't have started that. Not so early. No.
I love that. Hey, all foods fit, right?
Yes, for sure.
For people who are maybe not super familiar with beach, growing up in North Carolina, we like just saw it on the Olympics, but it's like a big thing in Southern California. Maybe share a little bit about like, how is like beach and indoor different for people who are not familiar?
Yeah, beach is 2-on-2 and indoor is 6-on-6. So it's, I would say, a lot more work. You're touching every single ball, so there's no plays off. And for beach, we're playing probably like 2 or 3 matches a day. It can vary, maybe from 1 to 4. Hopefully you're not playing 5, but I've done it. And indoor, you're really just playing 1 like really long match a day typically. Those are kind of the differences, and it's huge here in Southern California, and the Olympics is the goal for me, and we're starting qualification this year, so I'm really excited to get that going. And obviously fueling's a huge part of that, and I'm still learning. There's always things that I can improve, and I've been thinking about it today, like even prepping for this podcast. I'm like, man, I can be doing things better. So thanks for having me, because you're making me a better athlete.
You do such an amazing job. And I know that you're working with like Brooke right now, who was on the podcast earlier, who's amazing. I feel like I see you doing a lot of smoothies, and with Brooke too, she does a lot of smoothies. Do you have like a favorite smoothie that you like to fuel with, or?
Whatever Brooke makes is awesome. I'm not kidding. It makes my day anytime there's a smoothie in the fridge. She's only in twice a week with us, and I want her in more. But that's a great one for pre-workout, because usually I'm coming from the sand to the gym. And so getting something, I don't always have time to get a full meal in. So the smoothie is a great energy source, and it has, protein, carbs, and fats in there to keep me going for my lift. So that's awesome. That's my favorite one.
Yeah. Maybe she'll start shipping to South Carolina.
Yeah. Or yeah, if she could travel with me everywhere and just walk around with smoothies, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, I love that. Your personal like smoothie chef. I love it.
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about, it sounds like you have beach training. So you do like sand work, and then you go into the weight room. What does like a typical day usually look like for you?
Yeah, so we usually do beach training in the morning. Sometimes a 7:30 start. So that means I'm on the sand sometime between 7 and 7:15, warming up. And then after that, we train for 2 hours, and then I go straight to the gym. So like a 45-minute break. And then I'm lifting for an hour, hour and a half, conditioning, and then some sort of recovery, like Normatec or sauna. So I've definitely learned to like train my stomach to eat a good breakfast, because that's really important for me, especially like for tournaments, because tournaments, we end up playing a few matches a day, and sometimes they're like an hour or 2 apart. So it's hard for me to get something in my stomach. So I've been trying to like get a better, like a bigger breakfast. So right now I'm eating a couple eggs with a bagel or toast, some sort of, I'm trying to get the eggs in to get more protein, but sometimes I'm just not feeling it. So I've done some overnight oats or oatmeal, but I've definitely noticed if I just do the oatmeal, like I'm getting hungry in practice. So I bring something to have, but that's not ideal. But sometimes just what you have to do if you have an early game or early practice.
Okay, I have to ask. So do you eat during practice? Like the sand? Like what? Like I need to know.
Not usually.
Okay.
Sometimes if Brooke's out there, she'll bring us some cuties.
Oh,
And
I love that.
I know, and I can stomach those, but I've learned like I don't usually like to consume things unless I'm like really like struggling for energy. My stomach doesn't necessarily like it. Like even the electrolytes I struggle with like during competition or during practice. So I've been trying to do that like the night before or at least an hour before practice. And obviously I've learned by trial and error. So yeah, I don't usually eat something during practice, but that's why I really want a big breakfast just to hold me through that. And then right after, I have a macro bar. Go Macro. Shout out. They're my sponsor. They're awesome. I do have a discount. So if you're listening, it's Betsi. You get like 15% off. So
I'll make sure to link it below. So
link it below.
Go Macro bars are great. What's your favorite flavor?
Right now is dark chocolate almonds, but anything peanut butter is great. And Cora loves them too. She steals them anytime I open them up. And I'm like, I wanted it. Like I try to give her a bite of it and she wants the bigger half. She doesn't want the small half. So yeah, it's good. But I love them because they have protein, they have carbs, and they have fats. And so it's good like right after. And I think you've said too, like they're really good snack for later in the afternoons for athletes. So I use them all the time.
I like them too because like, especially with traveling, and we'll talk a little bit more about like AVP and qualifying, but sometimes bars are really great energy sources because they're not like a lot of volume. And especially if you're somebody who, I don't know, maybe like yourself who like struggles with eating around like competition or training or just getting in enough fuel. I really like bars for that type of purpose.
Yeah, I love them.
Paris 2024 is the goal, right? You have AVP in a couple of months. For somebody who's not super familiar, what's maybe the difference? What does qualifying look like? What does like an AVP season look like?
Yeah, so they're intertwined. The AVP and FIVB is the international one. And to qualify for the Olympics, it's your best 12 finishes in the international like FIVBs.
Okay.
So, and it starts from January 1st until like June of 2024. So it's a year and a half to get 12 plus finishes in. And then you have to qualify based on your ranking, and only 2 US teams get to go. So we will typically have like 3, maybe 4 in the top 15 in the world, but only 2 teams get to go. So it's really a battle, obviously against international teams, but against each other too. And then there's AVPs within there, which is awesome to play in front of like, you know, the US and in front of friends and family around the US. And it's a great for us to make money and, you know, highlight sponsors. So we do a mix of those.
That's so exciting. Like it's all coming like very soon.
Oh yeah. We start, our first tournament is around St. Patrick's Day weekend. We're playing AVP Miami, and then we go straight to Mexico for an international event. And then it just starts. I feel like every couple weeks we're either on the road or doing something. Unfortunately, our 2 home tournaments in Hermosa and Manhattan are conflicting with international tournaments. So it's kind of a bummer. I think we might be missing those. So we'll be traveling a ton this year.
Wow. Do you find that traveling, like, do you feel like that complicates fueling? Do you feel like you've kind of practiced? You talked about practicing breakfast. I don't know if you've practiced a lot of, you know, travel fueling, but how do you navigate that?
Yeah, it's different everywhere you go, but I like to bring a lot of snacks. And that's been, you know, something to rely on. Lots of bars, lots of oatmeal, protein powder, because you don't know, they give you meals, but there's certain times for them. So they don't always fit in the schedule you want. And then learning like where you are, like Italy is awesome, but there's so many carbs, which is great, but not a lot of protein.
Yeah.
And so then we had a 10-day tournament there, and we were there a few days early.
Wow.
And we just felt lethargic because we weren't eating enough protein. So then we were able to change and, get our protein shakes in right after practice and, trying to find some sort of extra protein in there somewhere. So there's always challenges, but we usually pack a lot of things and it feels a little high maintenance, but it's great. It's good to have everything.
Yeah.
Especially you never know if you get sick or something like that. You want the oatmeal, you want things, to settle your stomach.
Yeah. Especially when you're like traveling so much too, and you're on, I don't know, in like so many different cities, like eating out constantly, I found like you can just get sluggish from it. You can get lethargic. And sometimes too, like you're just like, I just want the oatmeal. Like I want what works. Like I know what works.
Yes.
So I want to practice that on the road.
And we always bring some sort of dessert, some sort of chocolate.
I love that.
Yes, I don't eat dairy, so it's sometimes hard to find good desserts that are dairy free. So I always bring my own, make sure I have something every day because it makes me happy.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask, like, what are you putting in your bag? You said protein powder. It sounds like chocolate. You have oatmeal. Anything else that's like a must in your travel bag?
Macro bars, of course. Trail mix, nut butter to put in the oatmeal. Good for PB&Js. Yeah, and sometimes this is a little hint. You can make a little breakfast, some sort of sandwich at breakfast, especially in Europe. They have all the deli meats and all the good breads. So we would, in the past, we've made sandwiches and we put them in our fridge and we eat them later on. And then you get to save money and it's easy and great fuel.
I'm like a big sandwich like proponent. Like I'm a sandwich fan. I think they're super underrated when they come to like as a source of fueling. Like I think a lot of people are like, it's not proper fueling or they don't think about it, but a sandwich is great.
Yeah. I did post about it and one of the international girls told me it's not really allowed to take things from the breakfast bar. So now I don't post about it, but I still do it.
I won't tell anybody.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Obviously fueling when you're traveling can be challenging. Do you find that you struggle maybe eating enough when you're playing, 3-4, cross your fingers, hopefully not 5 games in a day? I just feel like that has to be challenging.
It is, especially in like really warm weather places. It's harder for me to stomach things, but the PB&J has been a go-to because AVP provides like some sort of spread. They have real food, but they also go to Costco and get some things. So that's been great. Just right after the match, getting a PB&J, some sort of protein in if I can, depending on if we're playing soon after. I've learned that even if I play a match and then I know I'm going to eat dinner, but I like get worked on, then I kind of get like lightheaded and just don't feel good because I used to not want to like spoil my dinner. But now it's like, I've got to get something in my stomach just to, get fuel in and then usually eat a really big dinner. But then again, the breakfast is a priority. And then finding ways to snack and have bars and PB&Js in between matches has been huge.
Yeah, I love that. I was never at the level that you were at, but when I was playing in college, I really struggled like fueling anytime it was hot. Like anytime it was hot or humid, I was like, like eating a thing of chicken, broccoli, and rice, like sounds like awful. So I love that, like having a good breakfast, like having that good fueling foundation, and then kind of just like topping off your fuel store, like in between matches.
Yes, for sure.
How are you like hydrating? Like, how can you drink enough water?
I drink a lot of water always.
Cool.
So it's not been a huge problem, but electrolytes, especially when it's really warm and around matches, I'll do them the night before and or an hour before, just so it settles in and I'm not consuming it during the match. And I've, knock on wood, never really had a problem with cramping or anything. I just want to make sure, I'm optimizing my performance. So getting those in is important. And I think I told you I was like really sick in Fort Lauderdale playing and I had these sores in my mouth and I couldn't consume salt. Like it just burned so bad. And I surprisingly didn't cramp. I don't know if you can have backup salt in your body or something, but I don't know how I made it through that tournament.
Yeah, I remember us talking about that. You were like, I didn't have any electrolytes. I haven't had any salt.
Yep, but something I was eating was helping.
And it sounds like you have a really good fueling foundation and you've been able to like simplify it and like also make it fun, which I love. So I have to ask if you wouldn't mind sharing I think there's been a lot of press, especially over the last couple of years about, beach players and like body image and like being confident, having to play in a swimsuit. I would love to hear, I don't know if this has ever affected you or if you have like words, of wisdom for younger players who might be struggling with this right now.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenging sport with us being in swimsuits all the time. There are times where maybe I'm not feeling, highly confident in myself. And for one, we don't have to wear swimsuits. It's mostly what people wear, but you can wear, shorts, tank tops, whatever you're comfortable in.
Okay. I didn't know that.
And that kind of recently changed in the international world. Before, you had to have like a doctor's note or you had to be exactly matching with your partner. And now, as long as you're like kind of matching, you can wear, shorts or pants, tank tops. So that's awesome. So now we have more of a choice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard. I've gone through ups and downs with it. And I've definitely I'm in a better spot where like I'm thinking more about my performance, and I would rather perform well at my best and obviously win than I would look good, like, and it's just hard when there's photographers and you're going to be in positions where even like the skinniest people aren't going to look flattering in these photos. And we just have to accept that. But it's really hard. And I'm definitely more confident in it now. And especially having a baby, I'm like, 2 years ago, I was growing a human and now I'm qualifying for the Olympics. And that's pretty badass. So, and I think a lot of women have to appreciate that our bodies go through different changes every month. And sometimes we're feeling bloated and not feeling so good, maybe because of our period, but that's just part of being a woman. And I think that's why we're so strong mentally too. So I think it's a journey for everyone. It's not just black and white and easy, but it's something that, we'll all work through.
Yeah. I'm like so inspired right now. You were like, I was growing a human 2 years ago and now I'm qualifying for the Olympics. Like, that's a pretty badass statement. You're right.
Thanks. Yeah.
I think it's easy to forget the amazing things that our body can do for us.
Yeah. Especially when we're young and we're not thinking about kids and all of that. So
we're definitely getting away from it, but at least I think a couple years ago, I was having a ton of conversations on like, there was always this look that people are trying to get. It doesn't matter if it was beach, it doesn't matter if it's football, basketball, like everybody was going for a look where it wasn't necessarily like your performance or anything, but it was like, why don't you have this look? But it sounds like we're moving away from that right now.
I hope so.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Yes.
We gave a little bit of wisdom on the body image, but what about other, areas, or I guess other suggestions for young athletes listening? Maybe if it's about fueling, you talked about, you kind of have like a breakfast down now, you kind of have your practice day routine down. Was it always like that, or?
No, it takes time to like just think about and be mindful about and practice it like while you're practicing, not just the day of the tournament, like, oh, what do I need to eat today because I have a tournament, but trying to do that over and over again. And like I've been in like the macro counting world too, where I think there's some awareness piece there when you macro count, but I'm the type of person that gets really obsessed over it. Like I would measure out my popcorn and be like, Chase my husband, like, do you want any popcorn? He'd be like, no, I'm good. And I'd sit down and he'd eat a bite of my popcorn. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I just measured that out. And now like, I don't know what I'm eating and I want to eat more. And like, I would just get so psycho over it. And I was not my best self. And I don't think I was even performing at my best doing that. But I learned, like I definitely need to prioritize protein, things like that. But I think they're like what you're doing with the performance plate is really helpful. So we're eating when we're hungry, like listening to our bodies, and then just incorporating like the color, the carbs, the protein, and obviously the more color, the better. So it's always good to like just look at our plate that way. And it's just, I don't know, way more freeing to do that than it is to just count every single thing. So stressful. Yeah. And I've had in the past just like strength trainer, like obsess over like body composition and macro counting. And it just really wasn't good for me. And I had a new strength trainer that came in and was like, why are you weighing yourself every day? I'm like, I don't know. It's just what we did. He's like, stop weighing yourself. Like, I don't care what that is. And it was the strongest I've ever been, is not thinking about it, just eating what I wanted to eat. And I mean, working hard in the weight room and working hard on the sand, but that's just the best I've ever performed, is not stressing over it.
Sometimes when we like try to control it too much, it might do more harm than good.
definitely. I mean, again, like there's awareness piece, but I did it way too long. I didn't need to do it that long.
Yeah, we're a highly successful athlete. We look for like numbers, right? And we want to use data and we want to do whatever we can to get better. And I think sometimes that falls into nutrition when there's so many other things that go into nutrition and fueling our body properly, like not just like macros or calories or these numbers. Like what you talked about where you're like, I bring chocolate like everywhere I'm traveling because like that's part of like proper fueling and that's like sustainable and fun. And it might not be like the perfect calorie or macro number, but it does provide value in our fueling plan.
Yes, for sure. So I love what you're doing. And back to, telling a young athlete, I would tell them to look at your Instagram page and just pick like a tip or two because everything you say is valuable and they just have to incorporate like one thing maybe a week and see if it improves and if they like it. But yeah, you have a lot of good education and I think that's a good place for people to start if they don't have like a dietitian to speak to right away.
Well, I'm honored. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
People have to follow you too, like follow your journey and all of the fun stuff that you're doing. So where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram mainly at Betsi Flint. And I have a website as well that I'll update my schedule on. It's just betsiflint.com, BETSIFLINT. Easy as that.
Love that. And then if people wanted to watch you qualify for the Olympics or watch you on AVP, where can they stream that?
Yes, I will always like update you on Instagram, my stories. Usually AVP is on YouTube and the FIVB is on Volleyball World. It's an app. And that's usually where you can find me.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to follow along. I'm so excited. I always see your stories and I'm like, oh, gotta go to YouTube or like, gotta go. I'm like, I know her. So that's so fun. And then I have a couple other questions. I just do like these little outro questions at the end. It's your favorite carb. So what's your favorite carb? Because it's the Eat More Carbs podcast.
Yes. I love pizza and I eat it every week. You can find, you can find joy in those foods. And I love pizza. So good.
What type of pizza? Are you like, what do we put on the pizza?
I love the Trader Joe's sauce. And we get the dough from there and we do lots of sauce. We do peppers, some chicken sausage and nutritional yeast because I don't do dairy. And I'm not a big fan of the fake cheeses. I would love just sauce, no cheese. Nutritional yeast gives it a good little flavor, but yeah, I'm happy with no cheese.
Okay, cool. So it sounds like, so you make your own.
Yeah. Yep.
I have to ask, have you ever made air fryer pizza?
No, really?
Yeah, it's actually super fun.
Why is it better?
It's just easier. The cleanup is easier. I'm lazy.
Does it make it crispier?
Yeah, like you like bake it and then you like it makes it crispy on top. But I've always wanted one of those like fancy pizza ovens. I don't know if you have one of those, but those look fun too. Okay, what about your favorite pre-workout snack?
I love a Cliff Kids bar. Those are really solid.
The Z bars, right?
Yeah, that's what they are. Yep, Z bars.
I'm really into them too. So I'm gonna ask you what your favorite flavor is.
Just the chocolate chip.
Okay.
Yeah, what's yours?
I like the iced oatmeal ones randomly. I don't know why.
Chase likes those.
Perfect. Yeah. Need a variety pack or whatever.
Yeah.
And then what's your favorite post-workout snack?
Usually like a protein shake at the gym and then I'll come home and eat lunch. So protein shake. Okay. Smoothies with Brooke. Shout out Brooke again.
Have to start sending things to South Carolina for me. And I'm a big shoe girl. So what's your favorite pair of kicks?
I recently got some Allbirds and I really like them. They're very simple and they're sustainable brand and they're comfy.
Yeah. And you can wear them on the sand, right?
You can probably. They're washable. They're easily washable. I have not worn them on the sand.
I was thinking of something different. Okay, never mind. I was thinking that it was like easy, like draining.
Oh yeah.
No, okay. No, but don't wear them on the sand, people. Okay, cool. Any last like words of wisdom? Any last tips? Anything like that?
No, I'm just thankful that you thought of me to be on here, and I hope that someone can take something from it. And if not, they they'll just follow you because you're the best.
Oh, no, you're the best. I'm so happy we became, I don't know how we got connected on Instagram, but I'm so happy that we did. I just feel like I like know you. I've been following
Me
along
too.
for so long.
I know. We're besties who barely met.
Yep. Thanks again for listening to today's episode. I hope you learned a lot and are motivated to start on your nutrition journey. I love that Betsi makes it fun, and I think she gave a lot of really great practical information and tips in today's episode. Like I mentioned earlier, if you have not yet subscribed or followed the podcast, go do that right now so you never miss an episode. And while you're there, if you could give us a 5-star rating and review, that would be awesome. It's totally free to do, and hopefully you've learned and are enjoying the podcast and want other athletes to hear it. If you ever need anything, I'm here for you. Please reach out on our Instagram at Eat More Carbs Podcast. See you next week.